just in the last 10 years. And I was remembering where I was almost 10 years ago to the day, well, last time, 10 years ago on February 14th, 2004. As many of you may know, at the time, I had just been elected district attorney in San Francisco. And so, February 14th of 2004 was a Saturday. And I was actually scheduled to come to Los Angeles to spend my Valentine's year. And I was on the way to the airport, and I have security with me, so we're driving on the way, and I said, we have to stop at City Hall. I really need to go by and just go to City Hall. And so we drove up to City Hall in San Francisco on February 14th, 2004. And it was an incredible sight. City Hall in San Francisco is a beautiful building architecturally. It occupies a full city block. And wrapped around this block and beyond were families, children, people of all sizes and ethnicities and race and age, balloons, teddy bears, with an incredible amount of happiness. You could feel it. There's something about chemistry and physics that makes an emotion palpable. You can feel it. And so I arrived at City Hall, and I said, I've got to be a part of this. I have to do something. And I got out of the car, I jumped out of the car, and I walked up the steps, and Mabel Tang, who was the assessor at the time in San Francisco, she said, Kamala, you got to come up here and help us. We have all these couples we have to marry. So I walked up the front steps of City Hall, and I performed marriages that day. Incredible experience. And then, as all of you know, in August of that year, the Supreme Court rendered those marriages void. And so I remember then giving a speech for HRC in San Francisco in July of 2005. So by this time, in July of 2005, there had been a presidential election. The court did what it did in terms of voiding those marriages. And we were all feeling a bit down. And a lot of us were feeling kind of small. And I remember the speech that I gave that night. And the speech that night was about what I think it means to be a patriot. And so we talked about the fact that there are probably two definitions of what it means to be a patriot. There's the definition that says that you defend your country, whatever it does. And then there's the kind of patriot that we all are. The kind of person that fights for the ideals of their country. And that's what we were doing at that moment in time. Even though some wanted to suggest that this movement was about subversive tactics, this was about going against the grain of who the country is. We knew HRC was an incredible leader and saying, no, this struggle, this movement, this fight is about fighting for the ideals of our country and believing in the ideals of our country. So then, fast forward, and we go, probably past that dark day in California, in November of 2008. And that's when we did what we do in terms of standing on the shoulders of all the great people before us who have fought for civil rights and equal rights in this country. We took our case to court. We formed a coalition of people, banded together, understanding that we will fight in the streets, we will be loud, and we will also take advantage of all the tools that we know are given us in the Constitution of the United States. And we took this case to court. And then, just taking you through a little history, my history of it, and our history of it, then there was an election in California for Attorney General. And there were two candidates. And there was one candidate that said that he would defend property. And there was another candidate that said she wouldn't. And so, with the support of HRC, you know, you really shouldn't be very open telling the Ninth Circuit what to do in terms of listing the state, because that may not be appropriate and all of that. And I said, okay, so this was in my office, and they were briefing me, and I said, okay. And we got out there in front of the cameras, and I said, the court's looking at it. What happened? 2 days later, HRC, Chad actually called me and said, hey, come down to City Hall in San Francisco because the court, the Ninth Circuit, has listed the state. And you'd like to marry and perform the marriage of Miss Harriet and Miss Spear. And that's it. Having a meeting with a group of folks in my office, and my assistant passed me a note and said, we hear that the Ninth Circuit is going to issue a ruling. We don't know what it was. We don't know what it is. So there we were sitting in this office, you know, having a very important meeting, and no one was paying attention to anything. We were all wondering what was going to happen with the Ninth Circuit. And then the call came and Chad called. And so we all walked down from my office, which is a couple of blocks up, to City Hall in San Francisco. And we arrived at San Francisco City Hall, and the place was quiet. You could have heard a pin drop. Because at that moment, nobody really knew what was happening. Those who were watching it closely, we knew. So then we all got to City Hall, and we went down to the clerk's office so that we could get the paperwork ready to perform this marriage. Well, you know, of course, what happened? The clerk wasn't ready for us. They hadn't figured out yet what to do with the forms. So there we were standing around, and it was an incredible. Chad was there, Cleve Jones was there. I mean, it was Bruce Cohen. It was an incredible group of people. All of us there trying to figure out what was going to happen with these forms and get the forms together. And then, of course, you all may know, we got a call that here in Los Angeles, the clerk had said, well, we're not going to do these marriages. We've not heard from the state. And so at that point, someone passed me the phone, and I said, well, I'll talk to them. And so we did that. But I will tell you, it was an incredible day. And as you all know, and we all participated, it was an incredible, incredible day. As those minutes and those hours were passing at City Hall that day, the place filled up. Like all of a sudden, people came from everywhere and nowhere. The place was packed. All of a sudden, the gay men's chorus appeared and they just started singing. You know, it was just such an incredible, incredible celebration. And it was a celebration of who we all are. Who we are in terms of this movement. Who we are in terms of those of you in this room who have been tireless in your leadership of this movement, and who we are as Americans. It was an incredible moment in history. And I think we have a lot to feel good about in terms of staying consistent with this struggle. But I would also suggest that as it was with the movement thus far, when we said each day is not equal, we have a sense of urgency about this. Because each day is not equal when an individual is being deprived of their rights. Each day is not equal when justice does not occur for a specific or any one group of people in our society. We must always have, everyone, a sense of urgency because as Dr. King told us, and we know, an injustice anywhere is an injustice everywhere. And that's the way we approach advocacy. And so we know we have a lot to be excited about now, not 30%, but 59% of this country approves of what is going on. Virginia, Pennsylvania, Illinois, Nevada, Oregon, and Kentucky. Yeah! Now we have the Attorney General of the United States saying that attorneys general should follow their conscience and do what is right. still have 33 states in these United States of America that refuse and restrict the right of men and women to marry the person they love and the person they choose to love. So our work is not done. And I know that we together are committed in using this night of celebration to rededicate and commit ourselves to seeing this through. And saying that an injustice anywhere is an injustice everywhere. And so I would say, let us stand together on the side of fighting for justice and fighting for equality. Doing it on this issue, doing it in the issue that we are increasingly seeing where women are being offered a false choice, which suggests that you're either for religious freedom or the freedom to exercise reproductive health rights. Let's stand on the side of the coalition of women in that fight. Let's stand on the side of the disenfranchised when the Voting Rights Act was gutted and say we can stand as a coalition. Let us stand on the side of justice and saying we will fight for comprehensive immigration reform. That is us who will be leaders also in standing up for those who are fighting for the American dream. So HRC, I want to close my comments by saying thank you. The people who are in this room, you're here because you have been leaders and you continue to be leaders. And in that way, you inspire a whole lot of people. And let me remind you that sometimes I know we all, each of us, as leaders, have been in a room where we feel we're the only one that thinks the way we do or feels the way we do. And so let's take a moment to look around this room and remember that we are all in this together. And remember that there are so many people out there that will never know the name of HRC. They will never know your name or my name. But because of the work we have done and will continue to do together, their lives will forever be better. Thank you.